So we're on to the Q&A portion of Let's Learn with Bruce and Friends. And Bruce, we know that one of the big questions right now, the commissioner and the governor have been talking about reopening and restarting Texas, the economy, the government. The commissioner released a calendar recommendation earlier last week about what schools should look like for the next year. Can you tell people a little bit about what the commissioner has requested, and then just some of what people can expect from Leander ISD as we continue to build and plan for a variety of scenarios and a continuum of just responding to COVID-19?
Thank you, Corey. It does feel like a long time since we were meeting together in schools and talking to kids, and certainly miss that very much. The commissioner has been great actually at providing resources for districts, as well as providing lots of information and updates on weekly and more often calls. And so one of the things that he brought up last week was the idea of intersessionary calendars, which are aligned more with year-round schooling and provide for longer breaks in between shorter sections of in-person instruction. I think part of the reason for the suggestion and the offering is that we're not really sure what's going to happen in the fall. So while we may be open for business, we don't know if we'll have to shut down again at some point, or if individual schools might have to shut down for a particular period of time. And so creating some flexibility in the calendar creates the opportunity to perhaps have opportunities for kids making up days when schools have been closed. So we are not making any decisions about calendar for next year yet. We're making lots of preparations for a number of different eventualities with our proposed calendar as we start to think about how school looks in the fall. And we're really looking at a continuum of possibilities, all the way from being completely remotely closed and still operating in the environment we're in today, to some kind of a hybrid model where we have some kids in school in person and some still operating remotely out of their houses. And then that possibility that we have all of our kids return if things are safe and we get those recommendations from the authorities. And we're trying to make sure that we have plans in place for all of those different things to happen. We are going to try to communicate as soon as we can and as effectively as we can once we have sure answers for what that looks like in the fall.
And I think it's fair to say that even if we're remote and watching and knowing what the teaching and learning team is doing and what our teachers are learning along the way, you heard Jennifer Collins and Hot Topics talk about it, even if we're completely remote, it will still look different than now, just because of all the learning we've had to do in this emergency situation for remote learning. Tomorrow at the board meeting, we have a COVID-19 update that will be presented by you, Bruce, and talked about by our board. In addition to that COVID-19 update, which people might want to tune in to hear from our trustees and to hear this discussed more in depth and in detail, we have a presentation about bell schedules, triple tier bus routing, changes to start and end time, a proposal that's 2 years in the making. So Bruce, what do you want people to know about that? And specifically, we got a question in the chat about if we are to expand the school day, why wouldn't we go ahead and also shorten the amount of school days in our calendar, similar to what some of our neighboring districts have done when they've extended the school day and added minutes?
Yeah, so one of the things to remember is that we do plan calendars out ahead of time. And so next year's calendar has actually been board approved already. We are looking at adding minutes to the day to accommodate some of our specific programming at both the high school and then at the elementary level, to make sure that we have some transition times built in for our kids to kind of get their wiggles in, if that makes sense. And so those minutes don't necessarily add up to additional days. We have looked at that closely and have made decisions based on what we believe is best for our students in the long run.
So while there's definitely a transportation component in being able to be more efficient in our transportation and being able to be more effective, there is a learning component where we have specific programs and just the curriculum needs at elementary that we believe need more minutes. when it comes to that discussion. We got a question, Bruce, about keeping the buildings clean. What are we doing to maintain cleanliness in our schools, especially for if we are in a situation where people can go back into our buildings? We're going to talk about some of the amazing work that our custodial staff has done, really never stopping during all of this.
Right, and from the very beginning, as soon as people were out of our buildings after spring break, they were in there doing deep clean, and really sweeping all of our facilities from one end to the other. Those deep cleans have been completed, and those buildings, of course, now have been unoccupied for an extended period of time, which really helps to make sure that there's no virus present in any of our facilities. We have had several facilities that have had some people in and out as we're clearing out lockers and making sure that those facilities are getting ready for next year. We have construction happening at some of our facilities. Our custodial team continues to follow in behind all of those intrusions into any of our facilities to make sure that they're deep clean behind people, and make sure that they're virus free and ready for us whenever we decide that it's safe to open again.
Thank you, Bruce. And I'll take this last question before we go back to you for the final word and our final message. In closing, we had a question about athletic and academic camps for the summer. We're still waiting. You know, much of our district is still Travis County and Austin have extended their stay-at-home order. So we're still waiting on direction from the governor, from our counties regarding the safety with athletic and academic camps. So please, that might be a hot topic next week. Please continue to follow our COVID updates at leanderisd.org/COVID-19. Bruce, before we go to our amazing performance from a Vandergrift High School student who's going to rap in Spanish for us about teachers, can you please share some closing thoughts for our audience, our parents, our families at home?
Yes, absolutely. I just want to say how much we miss everybody. You know, the human contact is something that I think I certainly took for granted, and that I'm hearing more and more out of all of our faculty, from our teachers, our principals, our building level administrators, and our central office administrators, that, you know, we really miss being together. We really miss our kids. We really miss seeing all of you. And we hope that soon we'll be able to be back in physical human relationship contact, so that we can really get back to what we do best, which is creating community and being together in learning environments that are healthy for all of our individuals involved.